Hello, my name is Dom Robinson, and this is my Deep Wreck Diver channel. As you've probably realised, for the kind of diving I do, I spend a lot of time on decompression stops, and that isn't the world's most fun thing to do. So people have noticed in my videos that I actually use a Kindle prepared in an underwater bag, which allows me to read underwater. So that obviously helps the decompression pass by. And a few people have asked me, what is it? What sort of bag do I use? How do I get it underwater? And all those kind of things. So the purpose of the video this afternoon is to explain what you need to do if you want to do exactly the same as me and read your Kindle underwater. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it and learn something from it. If you don't, or if you do, stick something in the comments. As always, I'd appreciate a like, subscribe if you feel that way. And my daughter's asked me to tell everyone that you need to turn on notifications. So if you want to do that as well, that'd be absolutely cracking. So what do you need if you're going to do the same as me? Well, the first thing I think it probably goes without saying is you're going to need a Kindle. Now, the key thing with the Kindle that you're going to get is that it needs to be an old one. And the reason it needs to be old is because touchscreens ain't going to work underwater. So therefore, you need to be able to do things like turn over the pages, turn over the books and everything without a touch screen. What that basically means is this is a Gen 4 Kindle. There's loads of them around. You can buy them on eBay for 15 or 20 pounds in the UK. But first of all, I'd go through and check all the bedside cabinets of all your nearest and dearest. These things sold in the millions and they're probably just gathering dust everywhere. So you're going to need a Kindle that doesn't have a touch screen. That's the most important thing. There's this model and the one before which had a kind of keyboard in this area. I've seen both of those work and they're really good. So first thing you need is a Kindle. Second thing you're going to need is a waterproof bag. Now, these are the waterproof bags that I use. I've used quite a few of these. And the reason is although they are waterproof, they don't last forever. So, and it's the same with the Kindle. You've got to accept that there is an attrition rate on these things. Eventually this bag will leak, or you'll drop something on the Kindle, or it'll fall off a boat or something like that. So I've lost count of how many Kindles I've gone through, but it's quite a few. And ditto with these bags. So this bag here is by a company called Aquapac. I really like their kit. I'm not under any commission or anything like that, so I don't get any benefit from this. But these are the bags that I use, Aquapac, and they're IPX8, I think, were rated or whatever. But you can see there, it's about the right size for the Kindle. Not too big, not too little. And clearly it's got a fairly good sealing mechanism at one end here. So next thing you need is a bag for your Kindle. Now, I guess in really pure terms, that's the only thing that you need. But what I also do is I use a sandwich bag. And I use this as kind of like an inner liner for the Kindle. So I put my Kindle inside this bag and it just gives it a bit more protection, because these bags, once they start to leak, they don't tend to leak catastrophically to start with. What they tend to do is they weep a bit, so you start getting a bit of liquid inside this bag. So by having the sandwich bag with the Kindle inside it, it just gives it a bit more protection and allows you to spot when the bag is weeping. The other thing I like to do is I like to put some moisture absorbent inside it, and that's just to pick up the stuff that's weeping and comes through. And so I have two bits of this. The first bit I put in here in the sandwich bag with the Kindle, and I just tend to put it at the back there like that. And then obviously once you've done that, seal up your sandwich bag. Now, this sandwich bag isn't going to be perfect. It's not going to deal with a full flood or anything like that. It's merely there just to keep the worst of any leak or any dripping off it. So that's where the first bit of padding goes. The second bit I put inside the main bag, and this is what's going to collect most of the moisture that comes through. I'm probably slightly overselling how much moisture comes through. It's not a huge amount, certainly not to start with. So my experience is that you you'll see these start to get soggy, and that's probably the moment when you want to start thinking about clearing your sort of changing your Aquapac or something like that. So there you go. As you can see, I've put it all together now. It's all inside. The other thing I like to do is make sure there's quite a lot of air inside here. And as you can see there, I just pinch the bag a bit there so that when I close this and then lock it down tightly like that, what I end up with is quite a bit of air. You can see there's quite a bit of air trapped inside there. And what that means is that when it's underwater and the pressure comes on, this will obviously get squeezed down through Boyle's law, etc. But it will still be, it won't be too tight basically, because if it gets completely crushed in there, that's obviously going to, maybe help the seal help the seal get compromised. So I make sure there's a bit of air inside there, and there you can see my Kindle is all packed away in its bag, ready to go underwater, and that will be good there for, I would say, I've taken these bags down to 30 meters. Now you tend to find that the Kindle won't work at that depth, not least because I think the buttons get pressed in by the pressure, but certainly from about 15 meters upwards, you'll be able to turn the Kindle on, you'll be able to read it. Obviously, you've got the controller on the front here, this little top hat, so you can move around, change books, change the font size and all that kind of stuff if you want to. So, this will work in this configuration from about 15 meters and shallower. So the only other thing I like to do is I like to put my Kindle inside a bag. Now, this isn't anything particularly special. It's just a shopping bag, and so the Kindle goes inside there, and then I secure the Kindle to through a double ender here, so that this is obviously part of preventing the Kindle getting lost or floating away when I take it out. And also what you find is that if you put the double ender down like this, like that, what this does is now it seals. You can pull the double ender down and it will seal the shopping bag so that the Kindle can't float out from this. The only other thing I'd highlight is that there are two clips on the bag. And once again, this is all about preventing it getting lost. So these two will go on the shot line or the trapeze or wherever I decide I want it. But that is all prepared to go in the water and be ready to read when I come up on my decompression stops. So the next question is obviously, how does it get onto the decompression stop so I can read it? And I've used two methods. The first method is the one that I don't use anymore. It's where I have it dropped down from the surface. So I'll put up a delayed SMB, and the skipper will know when they see my SMB that they should attach my Kindle to it, to the line, and therefore it would come down to me. Now, obviously, if you're going to do that, you need a weight on the end of the Kindle. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It'll just float at the top. And I don't use that method anymore, really, for two reasons. The first is it can be quite challenging for a skipper, particularly if the weather's a bit lumpy or if there's other SMBs in the water. So getting alongside can be quite challenging. And the second reason is that on occasion they don't get clipped on properly, and therefore they end up on the seabed, and clearly that's quite frustrating for me, because I've then got to sort out a new one. So what method do I actually use? Well, the method I use is I leave it either on the trapeze or I leave it on a shot line. Now, often shot lines, lazy shot lines, have got breaks in them at 12 meters, with a loop, a weak loop or whatever, and that is a really common method I use. The other thing is, as I said, is to put it on the trapeze. Either way, it's there when you come up, ready for you to read. Obviously, a few do's and don'ts when you come to collect your Kindle. The biggest don't, of course, is drop it. Clearly, you do that. If it's buoyant, it'll be on the surface where it's no good. If it's heavy, it'll be on the bottom where it's no good. So don't drop it. What I tend to do, and you can actually see me doing it in this video, is I clip it off on myself. So that's the first thing I do. So it's attached to me. Next thing, obviously, is you've got to undo the bag and get out the actual Kindle. Now you see I've got a double ender that I use, and one of the first things I do once I've got the Kindle out of the bag is I use that double ender to clip the Kindle onto myself. I'm quite handy on my rebreather handset. On the wrist strap there is a D-ring, and that's where it tends to go, and you can see me doing that in the video now. So there's my double ender, just undoing one end of it from the cable, and the other end of it is going to go on my wrist on the D. There it is, and that means that my Kindle is always around. Now, because I've got it full of air, it's going to float, but what I can do here is turn it on, and there you go. As if by magic, you will see the Kindle flash into life. You can see in the bottom right hand corner I'm at 12 meters on my Paralenz, and there you go. You can see how much deco I've got to do. And you can see my Kindle's working all okay, and that means I'm great for my deco stops, which are just going to fly by. Now, obviously, I'm not the only one who's come up with ideas like this, and I'd just like to give a shout out to my mate James. He likes to take a housing for an old iPhone underwater, and he sits and watches films on those. Obviously, the old iRiver, the audio device, some people like that to use underwater. There are other solutions. I don't claim to have any particular knowledge of those, but as for me, I'm just going to stick with my good old-fashioned Kindles. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting and informative. Maybe you'll come up with something, or you've seen people do different things. In which case, please let me know in the comments. As always, I'll be interested to get your thoughts. And yeah, well, that's it for this video. And I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.